Hello and welcome back to Deauveau with me, BonBonB. I'm BonBonB, you're very, very welcome. And my first city build for 2 years is starting to come a little bit alive. It's actually a lot better than I thought it might actually be. I haven't even really started on the detailing yet, so the fact that there's no detailing really, it's doing quite well, I think. So anyway, we spent all of last week's episode on hand plopping buildings, these houses, the entire area. And this week we're going to start with hand plopping some of these buildings. We're only going to start. This is not the entire show this week. I think it'd be a bit too much to have 2 weeks back to back of me hand plopping suburban houses. It would be too much, even for me. My brain would implode, I think. Most of today's episode will be spent on the one thing that you all need. And when I say you need it, I guarantee it. Are you ready? Education. Yes. We're going to be building the high school and the primary # elementary school as well. And but before we do that, there's one little asset I'm going to need to tell you about, and that is this one here we're plopping down. This is the garages 7 by 9 by core 79, and they're really, really nice. I needed something to fit that gap. I didn't want to cram the houses into that corner there. And the garages, I think, really fit quite nicely. I may use these more than once. They're a lovely little asset and definitely have a real British feel to them. Right, so we're going to carry on. We're going to build this road area. I'm going to have to struggle a little bit at the moment just to get the roads as I want them. But while we talk about roads, right hand against left hand drive discussion. Well, some of you kind of accepted my decision, and some of you went, I'm in the United States and that just seems really odd to me that you're doing the British build. Well, I may switch it to left hand drive possibly before I go too far into the build because obviously of your feedback. But I have found an explanation as to how they could be driving on the right. Okay, bear with me on this one. It's a little bit of a story time. I know you like your little stories. First of all, just imagine, at the end of the Second World War, when we had done the Allies had done their bit, and they'd gone back to Blighty and across the pond to the United States. And rather than completely leave France say to us, look, can you just have this little, we say to France, can we have a little hold on area? Just a little block in France that we can just as a permanent settlement in case we need to come across and send Hitler and his youth back home again. And so anyway, that would be, because Deauveau is a French sounding name, it's because it's based on Deux and Nouveau combined together. Deauveau, new, my second new map, BonBonB. And so it's a French sounding name, so it might as well be in France. Okay, right, but we're doing an English style build, which can't happen if you're in France. Correct. But what if we have a small section of England in France? Okay, right, so that's pretending that we're on the coast of Normandy or something like that. That's where we are here, in an English settlement, but similar to Gibraltar, which is obviously connected to Spain, and it's very much part of the United Kingdom as such, then, well, they drive on the right because they have a land border with Spain. And obviously the whole of mainland Europe. So that is my explanation for. I always said I didn't know where Deauveau actually was, and it could be anywhere from the Baltic all the way through to Scotland, etc. But it is a British style build. Well, there you go. We are officially on the north coast of France. in an enclave, which was granted to the United Kingdom at the end of the Second World War, so that we would have a permanent base just then. You're not only giving away maybe 5 square miles or the 81 tiles and a little bit more, just a little bit more. There we go. So yeah, just get these few square miles of British settlement on mainland France, and we're driving on the right because there is a mainland connection to the whole of Europe. Okay, right. Now, it's up to you, and also up to me whether I can actually work out how to switch the sides of the road. I'm sure it's obvious, and I just haven't really looked into it yet. But assuming I can switch the sides of the road from right to left, should I do it? Or are we going to accept that this isn't in sunny Blighty, but actually on mainland France as a British enclave? Well, it's over to you. Your decision. Anyway, that's all the house plopping we'll be doing today. We're now getting on with the high school. Now, there were a couple of high schools that caught my eye. One I've used before, and one I haven't. I've decided in the end to go with the one that I hadn't, which is this one. It is, says he, checking his notes, the Suburban High School by Christolisto. It's a lovely little thing. It's very obviously low density. Quite a low roof. We're not going multi-story. I'm not a big fan of these big skyscraper schools. They certainly, I'm sure there are places in the world where we have them, but it's certainly nothing that I can get in with. And then on the back of that, we're getting ahead here. This is the primary school, the elementary school. I'll talk about this in a moment, right? But on the back of that Suburban High School is the Streamline Modern High School. Gym and shelter, also by Christolisto, and obviously that works as part of the Natural Disasters DLC. As such, I have had to enable Natural Disasters DLC, but I've switched the Natural Disasters off. Okay, right. Next up, this is the elementary stroke primary school, and this is, I apologise to all the Dutch speakers out there, the Voorzaan possibly, by Accapulco. Okay, right. So what I'm using is a Dutch school as an English primary school. I think the styles match. I don't think there's an awful lot of difference between a Dutch style and me struggling to move bits using Move It. We'll get there. So yes, I think it looks really very much like many of the infants and primary schools that we have in this area. I'm doing a little bit of the school teacher parking going on there, and we'll be doing a fair amount of detailing to these, because we haven't actually done a lot of detailing on this city yet. I want to do like a lot of foliage or rough areas down the back alleys of the housing estates. We've got we've got assets I need to talk about here. Right, sorry, distracted. We have the football soccer assets pack by DeCzaah. This includes two different sizes of pitches, two different styles of pitches as well. One looks like a sort of like a mown lawn, and these are Astro pitches. And then we have the cricket park, bad handwriting, BonBonB, sort it out. The cricket park by Aetos, that's Aetos, and that one, if you recognise it, that was in this week's, I said we weren't going to have one this week, but this week's City Edition, where we were looking in London, and this was used within that particular city build, just a little bit, just a little bit. So yes, all looking good there. I think that's all my notes apart from one regarding assets. Obviously all these assets will be linked in the description down below, so if you like any of them and you really fancy using them, you don't need to hunt the workshop, you can go and grab them there. So my particular style of doing things, I want to help you to find the right things for your build. But anyway, yes, this is obviously parking lots roads from Deauveau. Just putting this is the high school parking, so I'm putting an awful lot more parking here for the high school teachers, because there's obviously a lot more high school teachers than there are in the primary school. So yes, the style of this is pretty much what I see in the United Kingdom. Maybe not the parking where it is there, but you've got to have parking on site for the teachers. You have to, don't you? Right, what was I doing next? Oh yeah, so I'm going to put some fencing. I can't remember exactly what fencing we've used here, but might be the industrial fencing maybe. But fencing around the cricket pitch. And then I wanted to put fencing around the car park, because you know what these little blighters, these little children are like. When I say little children, they high school kids. You're going to get one bad lad. There's always one bad lad or lass who will go and vandalise the car of one of the teachers who's upset them. So I've chain link fenced all the way around the outside of that. Also going to put a chain link fence all the way around the outside of the actual school territory. That's as much for the safety of the community as it is for the safety of the children. Don't want them sort of going out mugging old ladies on their school breaks, do you? No, but it stops the worst kind of society getting to the children. But you know that's why we have fences on the outside of our schools. Security gates. I'm putting security gates, one on each side here. You may notice a lot of traffic going through those gates. I'll talk about that once I've had a little talk about what I'm doing now. Right, the primary school, this infant school, first school, elementary school, whichever you want to call it. Obviously a much smaller footprint, and we're going to surround it with a medium height wall. But then immediately behind the medium height wall, we're going to put a decent height fence, and obviously a security gate on the front as well. So yes, we're going to put a decent sized fence behind it, once again for security purposes. The lower wall would have been there originally, and then the fences would have been put in at a later date when security became a thing that was required, because once upon a time it was safe. Schools were safe places. You could take your child to school and nothing would go wrong. Oh, so much for society, hey? So yeah, putting some fences in now, and obviously just on the inside of the walls there. We'll do, as promised, a fair amount of detailing with regards to the schools. The schools are going to be probably 95% finished by the time we finish doing this. I did say that the power station and the water treatment plants are about 90% finished. I still stand by that. I will go back and do a little bit more tinkering at some point, and had some really good ideas for the power station last week, so thank you very much. I'm going to grab hold of a couple of those and maybe put them in next week. So what we have now is the playground. The school playgrounds in the United Kingdom tend to be concrete, usually with some vague white line markings and stuff like that for kids to play on, because it's cheap as chips. I did toy with using surface painter for this, but I couldn't get it to look as I wanted it to. That was just a bit glitchy. So what I decided to do in the end was basically just lay some paths next to each other and put some decals over it, and they usually are like patched up as well, these school playgrounds. They usually seen better days. So I'm going to put some random-ish line markings down there, sort of things that the kids would play in and around, and something like this, a little grid. I don't know what kids would be doing with the grid, sort of hopscotch, but not really hopscotch, but there you go, something for the kids to use their imagination with. The edge of the concrete all the way around the outside starting to crack and crumble, and we'll do a little bit more to that in a minute. Now this patch of grass here is something that I see, well, I don't see a lot in schools, but I am aware happens a lot certainly in primary schools. Those schools for the kids sort of like from the age of like 5 to 10, that sort of age group, the formative years. Yes, nature gardens. It's usually just a patch of ground with a little pond in it, not a lake, but a little pond. This is going to prove tricky for me because it's a very tiny area I'm trying to get filled with water, and it's going to be very shallow indeed. So it's going to need just a little bit of tinkering here, and I've also, looks like we're heading towards sunset. Have I got the day-night cycle switched off? No, I haven't. Anyway, yes. So just want I just want a small wet area. That is all around here. And I'm just going to put some stony decals down underneath there as well, just in case the terrain doesn't actually change colour, because obviously the water is going to be very shallow and it may not change colour. And then lots of foliage around the outside. This is, like I say, this is somewhere where the kids are encouraged to sort of like see the frog spawn and go in there and see if you find your mini, they call them the mini beasts, don't they? Okay. Spiders and beetles and stuff like that. Maybe if you might find a frog. But anyway, that's just part of the school grounds. Introduces children to nature, especially in sort of like the cities and large towns, and that's what's going on there. Now I'm just trying to find a fence to put around it, because obviously if you got a pond near a school playground, that is a safety issue. Usually there's always little Billy. There's always little Billy in it. You go, where's Billy? He's in the pond, miss. So we're going to put a fence up, and the children are not allowed to climb over the fence. Do you understand? No climbing over the fence, children. I won't need to put it all the way around, because we've got chain link on 2 sides, and some of it not properly connected up, which it is now. And then I'm going to do some sort of like pretend gate. I was looking for a gate. I'm sure I have a gate somewhere, but I'm gonna basically do a make pretend gate. I know make pretend isn't the word, it's make believe, but make pretend sounds good. I'm going with that. And basically, just by closing that fence up, it looks very gate-like. So I'm going to go with that. I'm okay with it. And there we go. So we've got a little gate. It's open, but we haven't finished detailing yet. There's a little bit more detailing to come. A few muddy decals as well, because it would be muddy in that particular area. And then some trees just for decoration up this particular side of the school. There, lovely. Lots more foliage to follow. Lots more foliage. I'm not going to tell you what all this foliage is, because this is pretty much all foliage we've used before in previous episodes, or actually in the map build itself. And for those of you that are new to the show, this is the map that I spent 7 months building with you guys every single week. And yes, I'm very pleased with it. Thank you very much. So yes, if you want to know what particular map, the map, of course you want to know what map it is. It's St Catherine's Point, and it's an island map, but it has a lot more going to it than just islands, and it's configured to work with TPB's Tides mod as well. Now I'm going to do a little bit more work over here, because this is not good, so we need to level this out a little bit. I'm using the smoothing tool as well, so take the slopes out. I'm not having the school down too close to the bay, the harbour. There are things going to be going on with the harbour. These lights are part of that football soccer pack that I told you about earlier, and I placed them all down, and then I think off camera I tested to see what it looked like at night, and it was too bright. I had to remove a few, not many, just a few of them, just to make it plausibly bright, and the these goalposts are exactly the same. They're part of the same pack as spoken before, the pack from DeCzaah. There we are. So they look pretty good. There's 2 different choices as well. Now I'm going to just position them up onto the goal lines, because they go on the goal lines. The goalposts go on the goal lines. There we are. And done. Now, finally, this little thing here, which I see as dressing rooms. I think it's listed as garages, but it is part of the same football pack as well. So all good. Now, around the outside of the high school, I'm putting a line of trees, partly for privacy, I guess, or whatever, so that you can't, once again, the worst type of society can't peer in at the children, but also for keeping the sound in, because you've got houses backing on to the high school, so that will keep the sound in a little bit. And there will be something on between the high school and the harbour as well, which would quite like a line of trees or so to protect themselves from the noise, and possibly some of the light pollution as well from the floodlights. Putting down some paths now. This is just a little bit more fine detailing to just add a little bit more to the area. I'm quite happy. I'm actually quite happy with. If you're not, please let me know if there's anything that you think I've missed a trick on. There's something not quite like the little footpath here, so that you can get out and across from one building into the other without going across the grass. Just little things like that. I think we're pretty much covered. Need a little bit more foliage along just this top part here by the cricket field, and that I'm happy with now. Don't mind the grass there. And now the last bit of detailing in today's show, and the detailing is little prop people. First of all, we've got teachers. They're standing behind the white line there, and in front of them are the school children. And I certainly remember being at school at the end of school break. What do you call it? Recess in America, I think you call it. At the end of school break, one of the teachers would come out and blow the whistle, and you would line up in front of your school teacher, and then they would march you back into lessons. And that's what's going on here. And of course, there's going to be 2 or 3 kids at the back that haven't quite joined the line and are going to get into trouble. Bless them. And so that's basically all of today's work. What do you think? Well, I'm really quite pleased with it. Oh, and a few people over at the Nature Garden as well. Very good. Right. And so on with last week's request from me to you. Could you help name some of my roads? Now, we wanted to give a little nod to last week's special creator, that was McWelshman, who produced virtually every single one of the houses you can see down below. Well, you really did come up trumps. So I only wanted to name 3 of the roads, but we ended up having to use a couple of extra roads that I didn't really want to rename just yet, but your suggestions were so good. I've done a little twist on 1 or 2 of them, but I'm still going to give credit here and now to everybody that I've stolen your ideas, you know. First of all, this road here. Now, once again, we're using the Welsh theme as it runs up the side of the new school that we've just produced. And the suggestion was from Hunter H, and that is Hunter H, not Hunter H, because it's spelt with a H. That if we could put a church along here somewhere, this could be Charlotte Church Road. Well, we're going to put a church here. Not immediately, but soon. Very, very soon. And it's going to be a modern looking church, so it'll blend in with the kind of like the low res of the school there and the area around here. No big steeples, no cathedrals going on here. Which means that it could be Charlotte Church. Charlotte Church Road, Charlotte Church being a famous singer from Wales. And, well, anyway, I've decided to drop the church from the name and just call this Charlotte Road. So Charlotte Road we have here. Now, amongst all of the suggestions, a couple of you basically said, well, just Welshman. Yeah, not Welshman, just Welshman. And I like it. I like it. We had Soda Wolf 1, who came up with a variant on that. But the actual one that I've gone with is Welshman's Place, as suggested by Kia. So basically, Soda Wolf 1, you can take a little bit of a nod, because had it just been Kia's suggestion, I may not have gone with it, but because 2 of you came up and said, no, you've got to call it Welshman, we've done that. So we got here, this little road that cuts off from Charlotte Road, goes all the way up to the cul-de-sac at the end. That is Welshman's Place, with Welshman's Garages right here as well. On to the... Oh, we got fire. Oh, we've got fire. Oh, they're spreading. Right, hang on. Where's me fire brigade? I didn't put it too far away. It's on that roundabout up there. Hopefully they'll get here. Blimey, it's spreading. Come on, guys. It's stuck behind the bin men. Get out of the way. My lovely buildings. It's spreading. Oh my god. Anyway, yes. While they're putting the fire out, hopefully they'll have to rebuild that area. This middle road here, as suggested by Battle Cat Danage, this will be Colwyn Avenue, because, as he said, we've kind of got a bay going on here, and Colwyn Bay, very famous part of Wales. Oh my god, I'm so worried about my... See, this is not good. Oh, they're turning up. Finally, they're turning up. Get on with it. I have got natural disasters installed now, so that we've got this particular asset over here, this one here. This is part of natural disasters. You need natural disasters for that. Boy, have we got fires. I know I may have to use the no fires mod. Oh yeah, they're coming along. Come on, put it all out. Do your stuff. I'm a bit worried about it spreading to the school. God, dear oh me. Anyway, yes, sorry, calm down, BonBon. Leave it to the fire services. Yeah, so Colwyn Avenue is what we've gone with there. Then I turned to my BonBon buddies over on Patreon. So this main route going up through this particular part of the suburban area, it's kind of going to be a no-through route. It's going to like dead end down there, which is going to be a little special feature area. And this basically is just all going to be housing. And anyway, there were loads of suggestions over on Patreon. But oh my god, the school is on fire now! This is not good! Will somebody come and put my fire out, please? Oh my god, no! Sorry, where were we? Yes, this here road here. Don't look at it, Mom. Turn the camera around. Don't look at it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. There were so many suggestions. Some of them were really clever. The one that just stood out for me was the simplest of the lot. And it was from Zach Otto, he who does the intermissions on WhatsApp. Yes. And is everybody running away from the fire here? Look at them. Look at them. Gotta get away from the fire. Yes. Anyway, he suggested Broadway Pass. So this is Broadway Pass, and have a little look over at this. Is this getting under control now? My trees. I'm hoping they're going to grow. I don't have very sufficient emergency services, and I've never dealt with this before. Do I need special Oh, hang on. I think it's going to burn itself out, yeah? I think it's going to... Why are you driving alongside that? I could be nowhere near that. Anyway, yeah, where were we? One last road. This one here, now, at the moment we've got nothing on it, and it's a bit jinky-janky because it's not finished, it's just a placeholder. This is going to go up and connect onto these upper hills here, up by the actual, up by the castle and the temple. And this is going to be the old town up here, which makes a lot of sense because it's up by the castle and the temple. And anyway, this is like, so this is kind of a connector road as well. Going to be a mainish road. And everything's on fire again. Oh my god. Anyway, this is Catherine's Drive, as suggested by Douglas. So, all of that, all very good. I'm really concerned about this. I wish I'd saved this. I haven't saved it. Come on, guys. Just, can you get on top of your job, please? I'm gonna cry. Please fix it. As we move into the cinematics, there are a couple more points of order. That's a couple of things that need to be named. The two schools. We've got the high school and we have got the primary stroke elementary stroke infant school. Now, the primary school was made by Accapulco. The high school was made by Christolisto. The town build is, of course, Deauveau. So are we thinking Deauveau High School? I don't know. I'm going to leave it completely up to you, but stick it in the comments down below your suggestions. Right, that's it from me this week. Thank you very much for watching, for commenting, for liking and for subscribing. Join me next week for more Deauveau and, of course, What Map Monday to Saturday. Thanks for watching.